What's good? Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I am your host for today, Simon Villanoz, aka Coach V, and this is episode 250 here, week 8 of the 2023 NAIA women's flag football season. This is your recap. Number of solid games here, a lot of blowouts, I feel, and so I'm going to try to make those a little bit shorter just in general as we are past mid-season at this point. A lot of teams, we kind of know what they're about, at least at this point in the season, so no need to continue to hammer that in if games aren't super close. But this is a pretty big episode here. We got obviously all the games from week 8 to go ahead and cover. Those are games all the way from Tuesday, April 4th to, I believe, Saturday, April 8th, if that game has continued to be played. I know there were some games that didn't happen this week, but that's basically the range of all the games that we're going to recap here in this 2023 season in week 8. And then we're going to talk, obviously, Playmaker of the Week, players of the game, a lot of deserving players per usual. Then this week, before we talk power rankings, we're going to talk about Position Player Award Frontrunners. Last week, we released an episode because it was about midway through the season, a little bit over midway through the season, where we talked about Frontrunners for our main awards. That is Offensive Playmaker of the Year, Defensive Playmaker of the Year, MVP, Most Valuable Playmaker, and then obviously our Freshman of the Year award. And so we had those four. And then you, the fans, voted on our Instagram. Appreciate all the engagement on that, by the way, to go ahead and have us do position player awards. And so we'll do best quarterback, best running back, best receiver, best center/blocker, best rusher, linebacker, corner, and safety. Decided to split those right there. I don't believe we're going to do like special teams like kicker, punter. Well, it would just be punter basically, and then returner, just because those are really hard to track, as is not every team posts stats. Just go put that out there. And teams that do collect stats, sometimes they don't even make those public, and those are not available to us. And, you know, a lot of this is just from me watching these games in real time. And so I'm able to see what's going on and who's obviously standing out. I'm not an idiot. Just gonna be honest with you. At least when it comes to football, I'm not. And so I could definitely pick and choose those. And then, you know, the teams that do provide stats, that obviously helps us out a lot, and we appreciate them. And so that's how we're going to go by those. And so we'll talk about those. And then obviously we'll talk about power rankings. I don't believe too much is changing, but you do have some developments for sure, especially in the front end of things. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start with this April 4th matchup on Tuesday, the only one of that day. Weber versus Campbellsville. Campbellsville traveling from Kentucky to Florida here to go ahead and play Weber. I believe they have met one time before. It was in Campbellsville roughly around a month ago, where, you know, they beat him 27-0. Now Campbellsville going to Florida this time to go play them. This is how the game went. So to start out, I should probably start with players who are in or out here. First things first, no Hayden Roop or Brazier Robinson for Weber this game. They also had another game later on in this week, so whether it's rest or injury, I'm sure it's definitely a little bit of both here. Both of them, regardless, were not in this game. And then for Campbellsville, it looks like, I want to say this is the first NAIA game for Annalise Beecher. I didn't see her in the other games for Campbellsville I watched before, and so that's obviously a big pickup there. A big pickup, obviously, and then a good addition here in the season for them. As I did say in the preseason preview that I'm looking to her to being one of the bigger skill players that they will build around over there at Campbellsville first-year program. But it also looked like they didn't have Alexis Thomas. Campbellsville didn't, which that's kind of tough. That is you're the other wide receiving option there, one who really has, kind of picked it up as of late. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and now hop into the game here. So to start here, on the first play, they go ahead and call an out route to Caitlin Sigmundy, who then pitches it to Jasmine Henry, who blazes down the sideline, just gashing this Campbellsville defense. There goes Flash right there. But there is also a holding call called on Campbellsville. They kind of grabbed Henry's jersey there, trying to grab her flags, obviously, but also not trying to let her go because she was on a roll right there. And so that actually results in a first down in the red zone. Couple plays later here, Sam Wilson, starting quarterback for Weber, finds Caleb Burrows in the back of the end zone, making it 6-0. Following that, Wilson on the extra point pitches it forward to Denise Garcia. That makes it a 7-0 lead, just like that. The MVP candidate, Caleb Burrows, making it known here early on, and Sam Wilson doing her thing as well. Now, Campbellsville on defense. Let's go ahead and fast forward to fourth down after some short run plays and a Jasmine Henry deflection at the line of scrimmage here. Yaneli Quiros, the freshman quarterback in here for Campbellsville, goes ahead and runs a quarterback design run that extends the drive, and they go ahead and get a first down. But right after that, on first down, Quiros tries to take a shot downfield. This pass has a bit too much air on it, and Caitlin Sigmundy gets a pretty easy interception to go ahead and get Weber set up pretty well here to start. Now, on the first play, they go ahead. Wilson checks it down to Bria Cam, her center, who then pitches it to Jasmine Henry, who almost gets in for a touchdown, but her flag is pulled by Annalise Beecher, basically on the 1. Now, a couple plays later, let's go to fourth down here. Last chance to score, at least on this drive. Wilson goes ahead and makes a rusher miss here. The rusher had a Wilson dead in her sights, but Wilson goes ahead and puts a move on her and then throws a beautiful pass to Gabby Franzosi, who scores, making it 13-0. Then on the extra point, Wilson drops back, does not one but two pump fakes, and then throws it back to Franzosi, who makes it 14-0. Gabby Franzosi, a freshman here, I believe getting one of her first starts this season with the absence of both Roop and Robinson. So there you go. Weber goes up 14-0 to start here. Now, Campbellsville trying to get something going here. On second down, Quiros does find Maddie Hurley on the out route to give them a first down. But a couple plays later, it is 3rd and 8 here. On third down, Quiros throws the out route to Hannah Love. She does catch it, but she is definitely short. And so that brings up 4th and 3 here. And that's when Campbellsville decides to punt it and not go for it, which, maybe I would go for this one if you are kind of close to midfield. But regardless, they punt it, and that's where we pick up in the second quarter here. So in the second quarter, Wilson drops back, tries to check it down a couple of times. First time, it's a little dangerous, but it's incomplete, I believe. And then on the second time, the check down, it's kind of just tipped up in the air on that check down, and it is intercepted by Angeline Beecher, who is there and goes ahead and takes them just a yard over into the red zone, and that's where Campbellsville is set up here in the red zone. A yard short of the red zone, excuse me. So she was a yard short of the red zone, that's what I meant. But it doesn't matter, pitch to Presley Payne, goes ahead and gets that first down. That would then go ahead and put them in the red zone. But once again, they are struggling to move the football, not really able to throw it, resulting to some runs here and short passes. It comes down to a 3rd and 16 after an overthrown ball and a short gain by Payne. Here on 3rd and 16, Weber brings the pressure and forces a check down, unfortunately, but that doesn't even get any yards as it's still 4th and 16 here. Sorry, it was 3rd and 16, now it's 4th and 16 on this play. And on 4th down, Quiros, she's forced out the pocket, and all she could do is scramble, but she is obviously stopped short, and that is a turnover on downs. Now, Weber looking to extend this lead and really put this thing away here. Second down. Wilson checks it down to Henry, who then pitches it back to Wilson. And then Sam Wilson goes and runs for the first down. Now, on first down, she does get sacked by NAIA Showers, but she does bounce back just a little bit here. Part of it, and thanks to Emma Belacco, Sam Wilson does find Emma Belacco over the middle, who gets a nice gain, but is stopped a little short of the first down. So it's 4th and inches, and that's where we are, where they go for it here, obviously not punting it up 2 scores. And on 4th down, Wilson checks down to Cam, and she is almost knocked down, or the ball is almost knocked down here, but then she does pitch it to Jasmine Henry, who gets a huge gain after a nice little hurdle. I don't know if it was necessary, but to get free, not allow her flag to get pulled, that goes for around 20 yards there. And then here on first down past midfield, Wilson takes a shot deep down the seam to Kaylin Sigmundy, who's wide open, making it 22-0. Now, Campbellsville, they would try to reply back here, and they would do a solid job. They would get a first down thanks to a holding call on a Weber. Following that here, Kiros will then check it down to Presley Payne, who looks like she fell down. She must have stayed up, though. I couldn't quite see well, but she stays up, and then she goes ahead and works towards the left sideline here, kind of burning some defenders. And when all is said and done, when she finally gets pulled down here, she is pulled after a 35-yard reception. This was a huge boost and just a great play by Presley Payne, and that's why she's in the Freshman of the Year conversation and, in the running back conversation as well. And so here we go, Campbellsville in the red zone for the second time today here. Unfortunately, 2 straight incompletions would make it 3rd and 18, and on that third down, Kiros would then be forced to scramble for only 3 yards here. And so that would bring up 4th and long, and on 4th down, Kiros tries to throw the dig route, and it is open, but the ball is just a little bit too low, and so it's dropped, and that is a turnover on downs. That's basically how the half ends, but at this point, this game is over. I mean, Weber, they're up by 20 here. Campbellsville just struggling all day long here. In the third quarter, a huge interception by Sammy Gonzalez would set up Weber in the red zone on the 5. That would end with Wilson running it in for a touchdown, making it 26-0. Now, Campbellsville would get in the red zone again, but a huge sack by Jasmine Henry would make it 3rd and long. And then J.C. Harper is in at quarterback, which is interesting. She throws it, and she's intercepted by Zoe Mello. And so that basically ends that third quarter. In the fourth quarter, the only thing to happen here, I believe it's Wilson throws it out to Emma Belacco, which is obviously completed. And then she pitches it to Jasmine Henry, who just speeds downfield and houses this one about, oh my gosh, I want to say 40-ish yards to the house. I want to say this was a pretty big play, and so that makes it 32-0, eventually 33-0, and that is your final score. Weber beats Campbellsville 33-0. Player of the game, Jasmine Henry, 3 receptions, 143 receiving yards, and a receiving touchdown on that. Also had a sack in this game. She was the lead receiver, followed by Sigmundy with 3 catches for 34 and a touchdown, and Belacco with 3 catches for 30 yards in this game. Sam Wilson, 19 of 27, 292 yards here, due to 9 different receivers, by the way. Also ended with 5 total touchdowns. Obviously had that 1 on the ground and 4 through the air. On defense, Zoe Mello and Sammy Gonzalez both had 4 flag pulls and an interception each. And then Burrows, I would say, actually led the team in flag pulls with 5, while Jada Dillard, Jasmine Henry, and Belacco all had 3, as Weber takes care of business in this game against Campbellsville. Now let's move on to the next day, April 5th here. I believe that is Wednesday, or it was Wednesday here. Let's start with some Sun Conference action. Warner versus St. Thomas. Currently, as it stands, Warner fourth in our power rankings, as they have been for a couple of weeks now. St. Thomas, formerly fourth very early on in the season, now has creeped up to fifth after they did defeat Weber, I believe, last week, and they are on a little bit of a hot streak and looking to continue to move up and potentially retake that fourth spot for us, at least in our power rankings. And so here we go, St. Thomas on offense, Holly Neer at quarterback here. She goes ahead and throws a hitch to Kayla Alvarez to get them a first down to start this game. But unfortunately, it does come down to 3rd and 10 after some short passes here. And on 3rd and 10, Neher goes down deep down the left sideline and finds a hole between the corner and safety. I want to say it's Jada Graham on this catch. It's on the far side of the field, so I couldn't quite see. But regardless, it's a first down past midfield that ends up being pretty huge, though. Now, following that, 2 pass breakups by Anna Vincenzini and by Lexi Mosley makes it 3rd and 5 here. And on 3rd and 5, a hard count would go ahead and pull a Warner defender offsides, and so that would give St. Thomas a first down, automatic first down in the red zone. And on that first play here in the red zone, Neer goes down deep down the left sideline, and she just puts a little bit too much air on this one. I think she was hoping to kind of just throw it over the safety when she really should have just threw it a little bit earlier and with a little bit more juice, because I don't think this was going to be a touchdown. But maybe if you hit your receiver early between the corner and safety, then they could put a move on at best. But fortunately, it kind of just floats in the air, and it is easily intercepted by Chanel Harrison of Warner. And so that's where we are taking over here. Warner is trying something new for sure. Andre Rodriguez in at quarterback. Tingen is on the field, I believe. And so first down here, they go ahead and run some sort of triple pass. It looks like Andre Rodriguez would get it back, and she would just end up running for the first down to get things started. A couple plays later, it is 3rd and 6 here. Tingen is back in. She tries to throw the dig route here, but it is broken up by Kayla Alvarez, and so that makes it 4th and 6, and they're going for it here. And on 4th and 6, Tingen fits it into a tough window on the curl route here to Amiri Logan, who kind of has to make a diving catch, but still gets it and gives them a first down past midfield. So here we go, they are cooking. Following a check down to Trinity Kieran and an out route to Michaela Michael, it is 3rd and 5 here, and on that down, Tingen throws the out route to Cynthia Holmes, who goes ahead and makes a player miss and almost scores, but Tashumba Washington stops her before she could potentially score. First down, though, in the red zone. But let's go play later. Second down here. After a dig to Holmes, it is 2nd and 4 here. Tingen drops back, tries to throw it. It looks like there's a miscommunication between her and her receiver. That brings up 3rd and 4. And on 3rd down, Tingen tries to go over to the slant to Holmes, but it is well covered to Shumba Washington there. Then on 4th and 4 here, they try to basically do the same thing, run it to Holmes, and it looks like she has maybe a little bit of leverage here, but it once again well covered by Tashumba Washington, and the ball is not exactly on the mark. It's a little off, and so it's a turnover on downs. And let's go ahead and go to the second quarter here. St. Thomas with the ball, 3rd and 3 here. Before that 3rd down play, though, a false start would move them back, make it 3rd and 8, which is definitely something to keep in mind. But on 3rd and 8, Neher finds Kayla Alvarez on the dig, gets a big gain of 15, so actually it doesn't matter. It goes for a first down. Following that, 2nd down here, after a drag route throw to Dominique Parks, Neher throws it on the curl route here to the curl route, and that gives them a first down past midfield, so they are rolling. But once more, Neher tries to throw it deep on the post route, and this is just not a great decision as it is extremely well covered, and Warner was really sitting on that one. And Allison Mangiati gets a key interception to go ahead and kill that drive. Neher's 2nd interception of this first half end of the game. And so here we go, Warner with the ball here. Tingen under pressure delivers a good throw on, it looks like a little bit of a post route to Anna Vincenzini. That goes for about 15 and a first past midfield. midfield. Second down after a 5-yard check down to Jenna Marrero. They go ahead and get another check down to Jenna Marrero. And she pulls off a pretty nasty juke here. Just a good little plant and there you go. Just making someone miss. That's exactly how that sounded. And she got a first down here in the red zone, putting Warner in the red zone for, I want to say, the second time today. And so here in the red zone, trying to get something going. Let's go to third down here. That's after a throw to Marrero and a check down to Andrea Castillo. That makes it 3rd and 9 to be specific here. And on 3rd and 9 here, they hand it off to Marrero. It's kind of like a sweep though, so she's rolling out right. She's looking to pass, but eventually she is just forced to scramble, and so she only gets about 4 yards. That brings up 4th and 5. And on 4th and 5 here, Tingen gets the ball, drops back, it throws a nice little layered pass here. A good touch on this though to Jenna Marrero to take the 6-0 lead. Now the extra point is no good, and so it stays there for now. But on the first play for St. Thomas, Neer tries to throw it over the middle, and that is another just bad decision because Cynthia Holmes is right there at linebacker. She gets the interception, and not only does she get it, but she houses this, making it a 12-0 lead. Warner would actually get 2 chances at the extra point. The first one, I believe they didn't get. Then on the second one, Rayona Baker knocks it down. And so that might hurt moving forward is all I'm saying. But regardless, right now they are up 12-0. Now St. Thomas, they got to get something going. She's played definitely a pretty bad game, sloppy game, 3 interceptions. The first one I could kind of forgive, as I did see what she was doing there. The last 2 just really bad decisions, and so it's still only the second quarter and you're only down 12-0. You got to buck up and just get something going, and that's what she does. She throws it over the middle to Kaylee Miller, who gets a huge first down to get this thing going. Following that, a scramble by Neher, who then pitches it to Jada Graham. Graham goes ahead and gets a huge run for about 15. That goes for another first down, this time past midfield. Now let's go to second down here after a Parks check down. Neher finds Graham on the post route, who makes an excellent all-hands catch here for about 20 yards to go ahead and put them in the red zone. This offense on fire right now. And then on second down, Neher goes deep down the right sideline and finds Shumba Washington, who is wide open, and that makes it a 12-6 game. On the extra point, Neher throws the drag route to Dominique Parks. That makes it 7-12. Just like that, St. Thomas back in this one. And so here we go. Warner trying to continue to build on their lead. Let's go to second down after an incompletion. Tingen throws the curl route, but Dominique Parks jumps this route and not only gets the interception, but gets a touchdown as she returns it to the house, making it 13-12. Just like that, St. Thomas flipping the script on Warner all of a sudden in a matter of minutes, making it a 13-12 St. Thomas lead. To add on to that, Neher finds Tiffany Walker on the drag route, who extends the lead 14-12. Looks like almost the exact same play here, or well, at least the same route concept on this second extra point try, as all of a sudden St. Thomas went from being down 12-0 to being up 14-12 in a matter of minutes. Now Warner, not out of it, obviously. You're only down by 2. They're trying to get a score before the end of the half. And so here's how it goes down. Tingen finds Trinity Kieran on the drag route. She makes the rest happen, gets them a first down. Following 2 checkdowns, it's 3rd and 3 here. They go ahead and check it back down to Jenna Marrero, who goes ahead and gets them a first down, this time past midfield. Following a check down to Marrero once more for about 6, it's second down here. And Tingen throws it to Holmes, who goes for a couple yards, but is still short, about a yard short here. So it's 3rd and 1 on the edge of the red zone here. And so on 3rd down, Tingen takes a shot deep, 21 yards, to, you guess it, Cynthia Holmes. And she has a step, and she just makes an excellent catch and also gets 1 foot in bounds here. Great body control to go ahead and snag this one and retake the 18-14 lead for Warner. A slant route to Amiri Logan would make it 19-12, and so Warner lost some momentum, but gained it all back right there on this excellent throw and catch from Tingen to Holmes. Iconic. And then you got Tingen to Logan. Definitely something that's building to go ahead and make it a 19-12 lead. And that's where we are going into the second half here. On top of that, Warner also gets the football here with a chance to once again go up by 2 scores. And once again to start this drive, a check down to Trinity Kieran is good for a first down. But fast forward to 3rd and 10 here after a solid 10-yard gain on a curl to Holmes and a quick hitch. Sorry, not 3rd and 10. It's 3rd and 4 here. On 3rd and 4, Tingen finds Marrero on the check down, who goes ahead and gets them past midfield for a first down. But once more, does come down to 3rd down here after a pass is batted down by NAIA and a Jenna Marrero check down for about 6. It's 3rd and 5 to be specific, and they go ahead and check it down to Jenna Marrero, who then pitches it to Holmes, who almost scores, but once again is stopped on the 1 in the red zone regardless. And so here we go, first down in the red zone. Tingen sacked by Mayerly Canyon. That makes it 2nd and 10. This was a pretty big loss on that one, but does get some of those yards back by checking it back down to Jenna Marrero, who has been so reliable all season and especially in this game. And so that makes it 3rd and 5 here. 3rd and 5. Tingen tries to throw it, but once again it is batted down by Leon. That makes it 4th and 5 here once more. And on 4th and 5, Tingen finds Anna Vincentini on the slant, gets a good release on the slant, by the way, and that makes it 25-14. Once again, though, extra point is no good, so they only take an 11-point lead, but regardless, definitely in a much more comfortable spot here, getting another touchdown for sure. And so here goes St. Thomas getting the ball for the first time this second half here, about the middle of the 3rd quarter. They go ahead and get a first down on a check down to Dominique Parks. Following that, Holly Neer is sacked by Madeline Portwood. That makes it 2nd and long. It eventually becomes 3rd down here after a nice out route to Kaylee Miller. Gets them to about the 15. So it's, 3rd and 10 here. And on 3rd and 10, Neer finds Tiffany Walker for a short gain of 5 on the curl. That makes it 4th and 5, though, just a little bit short. But once again, Neer goes back to Kayla Alvarez on the curl. And she also reaches the ball over because she might have been a little bit short if she didn't. And she does get the first down as the ball is across midfield. And so here we go, first down past midfield. Neer goes deep to Kaylee Miller on the post, who splits the safeties and gets a huge gain of around 30. That's 1st and 10 here in the red zone. But on first down, there's a dropped pass. And so let's go to 2nd down here. Neer scrambles around, but there is a penalty on St. Thomas for an illegal forward pass. She tries to pitch it, and so that pushes them back. It is now 3rd and 15, still in the red zone though. And that is where we pick up here in the 4th quarter to start. 3rd and 15. Holly Neer throws the curl, and that is stopped short. It only goes for about 10. And so here we go, 4th and 5. St. Thomas absolutely needs to get a touchdown here to stay in this game. And Neer runs an RPO here, fakes the handoff here, and then throws it to Rihanna Baker on the slant. That makes it 20-25, still down by 5 here, but still, they've pulled close within a score, and so they'll take that even if the extra point is no good. And so here we go, Warner gets the ball 25-20 here, and they make an interesting change. Jenna Marrero goes in at quarterback under center. Tingen is on the sideline for this one, and Marrero throws it out to Cynthia Holmes, who gets the first down. That puts them not past midfield, that just gives them a first down, sorry. And so let's go ahead and go fast forward a couple plays into this drive. 3rd and 10 here after a Marrero run and check down to Kieran. Tingen goes back in for this 3rd and 10, and Tingen is forced to scramble right, and she finds Cynthia Holmes, who reaches out trying to get the first down but is marked short. That makes a 4th and 1 here. And on 4th and 1, they go ahead and do a hard count. They pull Leon off sides. That gives Warner an automatic first down past midfield. And then once they get past midfield, they go ahead and put Marrero back in under center, where she finds Holmes for about 10. Again, following that on 2nd down, Marrero goes back to Holmes for another 7. That brings up the 3rd and 3 situation here. And on 3rd and 3, Marrero goes ahead and runs it on a quarterback design run and is stopped short. 4th and 1 here. And on 4th and 1, Marrero is throwing that quarterback. They go ahead and snap it, but it's a direct snap this time to Cynthia Holmes, who goes ahead and gets the first down here in the red zone. Following that, though, I want to say Marrero is still in. She takes a deep shot. It's overthrown. That brings up 2nd down here. She throws the out to Holmes. That goes for about 5. That brings up 3rd and 15. And that's when Tingen goes back in at quarterback. Marrero shifts down to running back. And so here we go. 3rd and 15. Tingen aims for the corner here. But Tashumba Washington goes ahead and knocks this one down. That might have been a touchdown if Washington wasn't there. And so that forces 4th and 15 here in the red zone. And on 4th and 15, Tingen kind of just throws it up to Amiri Logan. But St. Thomas gets a key pass deflection. He had a couple defenders there. And so that's a key turnover on downs here. And so here we go. 3 minutes, 31 seconds left in the 4th quarter. Holly Neer and the St. Thomas offense with a chance to retake the lead here in what's been a thriller so far. This drive almost starts with an interception. Neer throws it over the middle, and Lexi Mosley almost gets an interception, but luckily for St. Thomas, that is dropped. So that brings up 2nd down here. And on 2nd down, Neer checks down to Dominique Parks, who goes ahead and gets them the first down just like that. Play later, it's 2nd down after an out to Parks. That went for 5, 2nd and 10. Neer tries for the post, but it is tipped up, and it is once again almost intercepted. And so that brings up 3rd and 10 here. Holly Neer rolls out left, finds Kaylee Miller in the middle of the field, throwing across her body. A little dangerous, but it's completed for a solid gain of around 7. Still short, though, as it is 4th and 3. And so here we go, 4th down. They have to convert here. Neer finds Rihanna Baker on the outside hitch for a first down past midfield, as St. Thomas breathes a temporary sigh of relief here. And so here we go, first down past midfield. Holly Neer drops back and finds Kaylee Miller, who mosses a safety, I feel. She gets up there, makes an all-hands catch, and then just burns the entire defense 40 yards, just about 40 yards to the house, as they take a 26-25 lead. And then on the extra point, Neer finds Tiffany Walker once again on the drag route, and I'm realizing all their extra points have been on drag routes here, as they take a 27-25 lead, leaving Warner with about 58 seconds left. So it's not completely over yet, but this was definitely a clutch drive for St. Thomas. Just a great play by Kaylee Miller to not only get a big time catch, but just make a play and make a couple players miss and go to the house, and not make it more dramatic than it needs to be. But here we go, 58 seconds. It is dramatic here. Madison Tingen tries to throw it, passes batted down by NAIA Leon. That brings up 2nd down with about 54 seconds left. On 2nd down, Tingen finds Trinity Kieran in the flat, who goes and gets a first down, and most importantly, gets out of bounds at around 49 seconds left. Following that, Tingen goes down the left sideline, squeezes it in to Andrea Castillo between the corner and safety on a 25-yard reception. That is a first down past midfield. So here we go, just like that. 45 seconds left here, and Warner is already in St. Thomas territory. But on first down, it looks like Tingen tries to throw it, but the ball is tipped at the line by Leon, and it is intercepted by Mayerly Canyon, who makes that interception here and goes ahead and runs out the clock. And there you go. St. Thomas, with the upset, defeats Warner 27-25 for the second time this year, I believe. just an absolutely huge game for St. Thomas as they continue to roll here. Their winning streak stays alive. And then Warner just coming up a little bit short. I mean, that pass, it was once again tipped at the line. It probably would have been on the money because it is Madison Tingen, but it got tipped and it was intercepted by Maryland Canyon there, and that ended up being huge. But in general, I mean, they did miss some situations, Warner did, where they got to the red zone and they just weren't quite able to score. I believe they had two situations that were like that. One on their very first drive in the first quarter where they drove into the red zone, they just couldn't get it done, and then one more time here in the fourth quarter where they drove into the red zone and they just couldn't get it done. That would have put it up by 2 scores, and that would have probably definitely would have put this thing away as St. Thomas was running out of time here. But unfortunately, Warner just wasn't quite able to pull this one out. And St. Thomas, despite some early mistakes, as in 3 interceptions here, one of them being a pick 6 to start this game, they go ahead and persevere and get this one here, as Kaylee Miller, for me, is my player of the game. She had some big catches throughout this game, but that big time, about 39-yard touchdown ended up being huge. Obviously, because they won the game here. But, if she just made the catch and got stopped, that would have at least given Warner a chance to stop them in the red zone. But on that big splash play, I mean, Kaylee Miller just did it all, making the catch and then just turning on the jets and getting to the house. That ended up being huge here. And big props, obviously, to Holly Neer, who did, have 3 interceptions to start and then ended with 4 touchdowns after, pulling a Trevor Lawrence in this game, basically. But, hey, a win is a win as St. Thomas gets the upset. Let's go ahead and move on to some KCAC action. We have Midland playing Bethel, but they're playing them in Salina, Kansas, as they will be playing Kansas Wesleyan after this game, though. And so here we go, Midland versus Bethel. Here is what happens. Bethel, they go 3 and out, partially because Sydney Red had a pretty big sack on Kyler Rome, their quarterback, on 3rd down to go ahead and force that. And so Midland would basically start past midfield thanks to a really nice return here. On 2nd down, Michaela Nunez in at quarterback throws a dig route to Olivia Dominguez Millsap, who gets a 1st down, putting them in the red zone for the first time today. But Midland, they go ahead and find themselves in a 4th down situation. They're basically on the run, and Michaela Nunez tries to run it in, but she is stopped short, so that's a turnover on downs. But fortunately for Midland, doesn't matter, as a couple plays later, Kyler Rome is sacked by Alyssa Butler for a safety, so Midland goes up by 2, and they also get the ball back. And so here we go, up by 2 points. Michaela Nunez goes ahead and goes over the middle here. The ball is kind of popped up in the air, a little dangerous, but Olivia Domingos Millsap comes down with the catch for a 1st down. Following that, Nunez goes left and launches one deep to Emily Farron, who gets a huge reception for about 40 plus yards. That puts Midland in the red zone. And then let's fast forward to 2nd down here. There is an incomplete pass, but on 3rd down, Michaela Nunez throws it to Alyssa Butler in the flat, who then reaches over for the touchdown, making it 8-0. Nunez then goes back to Butler on the extra point. That makes it 9-0. Now, once again, Bethel is just kind of struggling to find their footing here on offense here. They have a quarterback, I should say that. And I've been saying that, but just kind of struggling to get things going here. Their quick game isn't as great. And, I mean, they just kind of probably need to go ahead and recruit some more receivers and more skill players. You can never have too many, in my opinion. And I'm saying all that because it is 3rd and 31 on this first drive. A lot of that is because of some penalty yards on an illegal forward pass. And so, naturally, Bethel goes 3 and out. And so Midland starts past midfield with about 53 seconds left. Once again, good field position off of this punt here. And so Nunez goes through her reads before finding Alyssa Butler near the sideline, who takes off for a huge 30-plus yard gain. That is a first down. They're on the 5 here in the red zone. They get momentarily stopped here because it's a false start on the offense. That pushes them back. But then Nunez throws the deep out/corner out to Kobe J to make it 15-0. And then Nunez finds Farron over the middle to make it 16-0. And then right before we go into the second quarter, Kyler Rome once again is sacked by Sydney Red for a second time. And in the second quarter, Bethel just not able to get anything going. They go 3 and out here. Now, interesting enough, Midland would then go 3 and out. An illegal block would kind of hurt them, and so that would force them to really go 3 and out there. So there you go. But Bethel, once again, just kind of struggling to kind of get something going. They're looking for anything, and so here's what happens. It's 4th and 1. Kyler Rome, though, on 4th and 1, scrambles down left for a pretty big first down here. And then following that, let's just fast forward a couple plays. It's 4th down again. Kyler Rome scrambles down the right sideline and just beats everyone to the corner for a pretty good run play. That makes it 16-6 here as Bethel gets on the board. I believe that's their second touchdown so far this season here in the limited action they have. But you know what? Let's go ahead and fast forward to about 1:04 left here. Midland, they do have the ball. After a quick check down that goes for 7, it's about 3rd and 8, 47 seconds left. Kayla Nunez throws the curl to Emily Farron, who goes and gets the first down past midfield. In addition, there's a PI on the defense, so that moves up Midland once more, making it 1st and 7 here with about 34 seconds left. And so here we go, first down. Nunez scrambles right, gets about 15, putting Midland in the red zone with 27 seconds left. After a batted pass at second down, Kayla Nunez puts one in the end zone, which gets tipped up and is eventually caught by Alyssa Butler, who makes it 29-6 here. Sorry, I don't know why I just completely skipped this. But sorry, they had an earlier touchdown here. Nunez threw the corner out to Diva Jones. That went for a 10-yard touchdown pass that made it 22-6. And then this one to Alyssa Butler made it 29-6. Excuse me there. And Michaela Nunez finds Casey Thompson to make 30-6 as his game is basically over at halftime as Midland beats Bethel 42-6 at the end. My opinion, Alyssa Butler is the player of the game, had multiple touchdowns here in this first quarter or first half to really put this thing as way as Midland wins as expected to start this day. Now, as these games in Salina were going on, Ottawa had a couple of teams come to town, I believe, and so they played both the University of St. Mary and Cottey. Both those games weren't super close, so I'm really just going to be talking about the stat line here. Again, St. Mary first. Ottawa beat them 68-0. Madison Carrera, 19 of 22, 185 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, 81 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. Also had a receiving touchdown. Okay, there's like really no way of knowing this, I feel, because some teams don't keep stats like this. But is this the first time a player had a passing touchdown, rushing touchdown, and receiving touchdown? I want to say this is at least the first time this season that has happened. I don't know if this is the first time ever, but interesting stat line by Madison Carrera. As far as receivers go, Jaslyn Camacho led with 7 receptions, 63 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. 5 different receivers had touchdowns, including Madison Carrera in this game. On the defensive side, Abby Brown, 7 tackles, 3 interceptions here. Hannah Serquina and Lauren Clark each had an interception, I believe, in this game as well. Abby Brown, a defensive playmaker of the year candidate for sure. And then DJ Paris, Hannah Serquina, and Suzanne Kaufman each had a sack. For the University of St. Mary, the offensive woes continues as NAIA Hooks, 20 of 43, 142 yards, and goes for 5 interception in this one. Just not a great game by the Spires, as they are definitely in rebuilding mode at this point. And Ottawa takes care of business. Players of the game for that one, Madison Carrera with her 3 incompletions in this one, and then Abby Brown with 3 interceptions in this one. So there you go. Pretty easy stats there to go over. And then once again, Ottawa versus Cottey for the second week in a row. This one, once again, wasn't close. Ottawa won 46-0. Ottawa, Madison Carrera, 18 of 25, 301 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, 17 rushing yards. Jaslyn Camacho, once again, leading at receiver, 6 receptions, 126 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns. Alyssa Linkus had 67 yards and 2 touchdowns. Bailey Hodgins and Tatiana Dos Santos each had a touchdown. And then Abby Brown once more led with 6 tackles and also had a pick, which I believe was a pick 6, if I'm not mistaken. For Cottey, though, Maya Carula and Jennifer Haberstock once again both got snaps. Each threw at least 1 interception, though. Carula did throw 2, so just not the greatest day. Maya Carula kind of did a lot for Cottey in this game, which reflects a little bit of where Cottey is at as far as offensive firepower goes. But she's their lead rusher with 19 yards and their lead receiver with 4 receptions and 26 yards. Honestly, Cottey, they have definitely gotten better from last year, and that's what matters. This was a good recruiting class, but they just kind of lack some depth here. Especially at receiver. If Amaya Carula is both your lead passer and rusher and receiver, you just can't have one person do all that unless you are blowing out the other team. Like what, not even that. That's not even what Madison Carrera did. She just scored a touchdown as a runner, receiver, and thrower. And so for Cottey, they just have to continue to build the depth there. They have a good core, but against deeper teams, especially like a team like Ottawa, it's just a tough go, right? And so we'll see. On top of that, I'm sure there were probably a couple jobs and mistakes that are self-inflicted. When you have a team that's not as deep like Cottey, you just can't have any of those mistakes. So that really leaves little room for error, which is not really fair for Cottey, but that's just how it'd be. Like I said, Cottey's still getting better, though, and so you could definitely rely on that for now, as there are some bright spots still in their squad, and definitely this season. So there you go. All right, now let's go to Midland versus Kansas Wesleyan here. Last time these two teams met, it was a thriller. Kansas Wesleyan winning in the final seconds. Brianna Hernandez-Silva finding Angel Amares for that last-second touchdown. Midland losing a heartbreaker at home there. This time, here we go. They're in Salina, Kansas Wesleyan at home, and Midland starts with the football, and they go ahead and get a first down pretty much right off the bat thanks to an illegal contact penalty on Kansas Wesleyan. Following that, let's go ahead and go to third down here. Nunez steps up and throws the post to Cassandra Chavez. That goes for about 20 yards past midfield, obviously, for a first down. But once again, it's third down here, specifically 3rd and 16. Here after a run is stopped for a loss and a short pass. They go ahead and throw it, and it's a nice pass breakup by Alexa Mansur to force a 4th down. And Midland, unfortunately, has to go ahead and punt it here. And so here we go, Kansas Wesleyan with the football to start. 8:21 left in the first quarter. They go ahead and throw a curl out to Ashley Hawthorne. That is good for a solid gain. That makes it 2nd and 1, though not quite a first down. Doesn't matter. Brianna Hernandez-Silva just scrambles and gets that first down to get this thing started. Once more, after an Angel Roman curl route for about 10, Brianna Hernandez-Silva runs again, takes off down the left side and gets about 15 for a first down past midfield. Let's go ahead and fast forward to 3rd and 5 here. Brianna Hernandez-Silva throws over the middle to Angel Amares, who gets the short reception. That puts them in the red zone here. So here we go, Kansas Wesleyan cooking. After a short 2nd down reception on 3rd down, Hernandez-Silva finds Amares once more over the middle, who gets about 7, but still short. 3rd and 2 here. On 3rd and 2, Hernandez-Silva tries to throw one to the back of the end zone, but this one's pretty easily intercepted by Cheyenne Duran. And so Midland gets the ball here. And to start, Michaela Nunez sacked by Layla Casillan. That makes it 2nd and 10. And also, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong. Please correct me by messaging us on Instagram or any social media platform. But anyways, 2nd and 10 here. They go ahead and check it down to Jocelyn Lopez, who gets outside, gets those yards back, and also gets a first down. Following a short run by Nunez and a check down to Jocelyn Lopez, it is 3rd and 11 here. Third down, Nunez goes over the middle to Diva Jones, who takes off downfield and almost rips it off for a touchdown, was basically stopped on the one for a huge 40-plus yard reception. And so that's where we pick up in the second quarter. First down in the red zone here. Nunez on the keeper, stopped short, this time by Alexis Jimenez. That brings up second down here. And on second down, Nunez tries to scramble right, rolling out right, and then throws it over the middle. But Alexa Mansour is there and gets a huge interception to go ahead and end that Midland drive and deliver Kansas Wesleyan the ball here. But Kansas Wesleyan, after they do get a first down on a curl route to Angel Maris, they're not able to get too much more, as they do have a couple incompletions and just short passes. They eventually punt it, and that's where Midland takes over with about 8 minutes 48 seconds left. Here on first down, Nunez tries to go over the middle, but it is tipped up by Angel Roman, it looks like, and then intercepted by Alexa Mansour for a second interception of the day here, to go ahead and just give Kansas Wesleyan the ball back here just like that. And then on first down here, Kansas Wesleyan, after the interception, Hernandez Silva takes a shot up the seam and looks like she has Kieran DeCure for the touchdown, but she definitely drops it. And that's just very unfortunate there, as DeCure also has to come off the field. And so that brings up second down here. And on second down, Hernandez Silva rolls out right and throws it, but it is still short. So that brings up third down here. On third down, Hernandez Silva under pressure tries to throw it to Jada Wilson, but it is out of bounds. So here we go, 4th down and 2 here. Hernandez Silva under pressure throws it to Jasmine Whitfield, but it's too low, and so that's a turnover on downs. And so here we go. Midland still in this thing. Definitely a little bit crazy so far, but still in this thing. 6:28 left. They go ahead and pitch it to Jocelyn Lopez, who goes and gets a first down. Following that, Nunez on the run finds Olivia Dominguez-Millsap near the right sideline. That goes for a huge 30-yard, reception past midfield. Following that, Nunez scrambles for about 10, making it 2nd and 4. Then there's an incompletion, but there's a penalty for illegal contact on Midland. So now it's 2nd and 19. And on second down, Nunez pitches it to Lopez, who once again gets outside and just burns the defense for about 26 yards and a first down, putting them in the red zone. So here we go, first down in the red zone. Nunez steps up and finds a wide open Emily Farron in the back of the end zone, making it 6-0. On the extra point, she shovel passes it to Aliyah Livingston. That makes it 7-0, as Midland, despite some early struggles here and probably some frustration on offense, takes the lead finally and gets the first score of this game. Now on first down for Kansas Wesleyan, it doesn't start out great. It starts out with a Casey Thompson sack. That pushes them back, making it 2nd and 14 here. But Brianna Hernandez Silva is basically forced all the way out right a couple plays later and finds Angel Maris near the sideline. That goes for a first down for about 16 yards on the reception. That's when the 2-minute warning hits. After a short pass to Ashley Hawthorne, Kansas Wesleyan runs a play that results in an interception here, it looks like, but there is encroachment called on Midland before, and so that will move Kansas Wesleyan up 5, and obviously they still have the ball. So 2nd and 6 here. Hernandez Silva takes a shot up the seam to Angel Roman, who brings it in for at least 20 yards, making it 1st down and 4 here. But once again, Hernandez Silva sacked by Amari Carroll. That makes it 2nd down here. And on 2nd down, there's a drop pass, so it really makes it 3rd and 14 following those events. And on 3rd down, they throw a curl to Jasmine Whitfield, which is good enough to at least make it 4th and 6, which is a lot more manageable. And on that, Hernandez Silva goes back to Whitfield on the curl, who gets them a first down and puts them in the red zone. And by the way, she also gets out of bounds, most importantly, so that stops the clock at around 11 seconds. And so following that, Hernandez Silva on first down finds Angel Roman on the post, a dot, to make it 7-6. And then Hernandez Silva ties it up, finding Hawthorne on the drag, making it 7-7 going into half. And so definitely, a close game here. I would say Kansas Wesleyan has definitely moved the ball up and down relatively well, just have really struggled to finish in the red zone, but obviously got a touchdown on that last play of the half. And then Midland, they've got into the red zone for their share, but those 2 interceptions by Alexa Mansour really kind of messed up the groove there. And so here we go to the third quarter, but let's go ahead and fast forward through some drives here. Nothing crazy really to start the third quarter. Kansas Wesleyan starts on offense, but eventually they punt. Midland's drive doesn't go well as Layla Casillan gets her second sack of the day. That eventually forces turnover on downs. They do get a first down thanks to a penalty on KWU, but once again, Casillan actually gets her third sack. So 2 sacks on this drive to go ahead and shut this down. And so here we go. Kansas Wesleyan gets the ball back, 6:45 left near midfield. It's about 1st and 2 there on first down. It's incomplete. But on second down, Hernandez Silva throws the curl out to Whitfield, who gets about 7-4 first past midfield. Following that, Hernandez Silva throws the curl to Ashley Hawthorne, who slips 2 defenders and is just off to the races. Turns on the Jets, 30-plus yards to the house to go ahead and make it a 13-7 game here. Kansas Wesleyan taking the lead for the first time today, I believe. On the extra point here, Hernandez Silva pump fakes and then slips in, running it in for the extra point, making it 14-7. Now Midland, they continue to struggle on offense. They do get a first down. Alyssa Butler gets the first down on the curl, but after that there's a drop. Then following that, Nunez does find Casey Thompson for only a couple of yards. And so it's 3rd and 7, but once again, there's another drop as this offense just goes cold. And so they try to go for it here on 4th and 7 here, but it's a low snap. And so that's an automatic dead ball. And so once again, that is a turnover on downs. Now there's about 2 minutes 36 seconds before the fourth quarter, and Hernandez Silva finds Jasmine Whitfield on the curl to go ahead and put them in the red zone. And so here we go. Let's go ahead and fast forward to the fourth quarter here. Kansas Wesleyan still in the red zone, but it is 4th and 11 a couple plays later. And here we go, 4th down with a chance to really put this thing away. Hernandez Silva rolls out left and throws it, but it is incomplete. But they call a roughing the passer call on Midland, and so that will actually give Kansas Wesleyan another chance here. And on that second chance, Hernandez Silva throws it over the middle to Kendra Velasquez Monroe, I believe, and she goes it and walks it in for a touchdown, making it a 20-7 lead. And then on the extra point in RPO and a throw on the run to Angel Amars makes it a 21-7 lead. At this point, the game is basically over here. Midland, they do get a couple first downs to start, but another sack by Layla Casillan on this next drive would basically make it 4th and 9 here. And on 4th down, Nunez is forced to take a shot downfield, but it is off the mark just slightly, and so that's a turnover on downs. And it just doesn't really go Midland's way. They're running out of time. Kansas Wesleyan does go 3 and out after a key Sydney Red sack. But once again, they're on offense here, and they're just getting minimal yardage, not nearly enough, and eventually comes down to a 4th and 17 play where Nunez is sacked by Shania Marape, and so that's a turnover on downs. And at this point, the game is basically over. Kansas Wesleyan beats Midland 21-7 here. I do got 2 players of the game. Alexa Mansour had 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, 1 pass breakup, and then Layla Casillan, I feel like, was really key to this one as well. 6 tackles and 5 sacks. A lot of those sacks coming in the second half, just disrupting Midland's offense. And they just got so cold. In the first half, it was the interceptions that really stopped them. In the second half, it was these sacks ultimately that really killed their field positioning and eventually lost them this game. But Kansas Wesleyan goes ahead and wins their second game over Midland, winning the regular season series. All right, now let's move on to the next day. We had some games here on Thursday, April 6th. let's start with Thomas versus Weber. Weber, this time with a healthy roster, both Roop and Raja Robinson back. They travel up to Thomasville, the Rose City, to go ahead and play undefeated Thomas. And Thomas, I believe, has everyone except for NAIA Glover, which I'll talk about later. But let's go ahead and hop into this game here. To start, Weber is on offense, and it starts out alright. Sam Wilson finding Denise Garcia for a first down, but following that, there's an overthrow and an out route to Sigmundy that goes for a couple yards. Still brings up 3rd and 7 though, and on 3rd and 7, Wilson goes deep down the right sideline, but it is well covered, and even if it wasn't well covered, it was overthrown, and so that's a punt for Weber just like that. Now Thomas, they get the ball to start here, 8:58 left here in the first quarter, just before midfield. Alexa Wilson in at quarterback finds Jones here, Giselle Jones on the hitch, who gets them a first down past midfield. A couple plays later, it's 3rd and 10 here. They run the play, but they throw a penalty on Weber for holding, and so that will actually move them up here. And so I believe it's now 2nd down in inches. And so, before it was 3rd and 10, it's now 2nd down in inches, because that second play is when the holding happened. And so here we go. Wilson on 2nd down goes deep for Delvo, but she drops it, unfortunately, in the end zone. That brings up 3rd down here. Wilson rolls right, finds Nakia Brown on the out route, who goes and gets the first down in the red zone. So here we go. They're cooking. But let's go ahead and fast forward to 4th down after some short plays here. Keanu Cole in here at quarterback, goes ahead, gets the snap, runs the option, cuts it upfield. That's a touchdown for Thomas, making it 6-0 at 3:42 seconds left. Extra point is no good, which I feel like it's been a long time since Thomas has missed an extra point, at least to start the game. And so there you go. But they still have the lead. Now, Weber on offense trying to get something going here. They are not getting anything going here. Nothing deep, nothing in the middle. They are allowing some short passes here, but Janae Scott is there to clean up a lot of these, if not for a loss, maybe for a gain of 1, or lets them get to back to the line. But eventually it does come to a 3rd down, and Wilson throws a swing to Polacco, but she is stopped pretty easily, this time for a loss by Delva. And so just like that, they go 3 and out. Now, Thomas, it starts out pretty positive. Wilson finds Brittany Delva on the out for a first down past midfield, but after an incompletion, Wilson is then sacked by Jada Dillard, who makes it 3rd and 25. And that is where we pick up here at the start of the second quarter, 3rd and 25. Wilson finds Aaliyah Wood, the freshman, on the dig, but that only goes for about 10, so it brings up 4th and 15 here. And Thomas decides to punt it here, just trying to pin Weber back here. So there you go. Now Weber, they go ahead and get a nice first down. Wilson finds Caleb Burrows on the post, who gets a huge gain of about 24 first down. This is the longest play for Weber so far, I think, in this game. Following that, Wilson checks it down to Emma Polacco on the swing route, who goes and gets the first down past midfield. So Weber is rolling here. But then Kiara Knight gets a key pass breakup. Following that, there's an overthrow, so all of a sudden we're in a 3rd and 20 situation for Weber. And so here we go. Wilson tries to evade the rush before dumping it off to Bria Cam, who is only able to get a couple yards, just 2, as it is 4th and 18. And so here on 4th and 18, Weber tries to pin Thomas, and so they go ahead and punt it. Now, basically at this point, there's not too much that goes on. I mean, Thomas, they do get a first down here. Wilson finds Giselle Jones, who spins out of some tackles to get that one. And then Wilson goes back to Giselle Jones, who gets another first down. But then Wilson throws it to Brittany Delva, and she tries to pitch it, but the pitch is intercepted. And so that's where Weber takes over here at midfield. Like I said, not too much going on for Thomas here. That was a promising drive, but just a tough mistake kind of there at the end. Now 4 minutes left here in the second quarter here. After a Weber drop and a Nakara Brown deflection, it's 3rd and 5. And so Sam Wilson rolls out left, or is forced out left, and throws it, but it is low, and it's also almost picked by Kiara Knight. So it brings up 4th down here. 2-minute warning hits right before, and so that's where this 4th down play takes place. And Wilson, on 4th down, throws the comeback to Hayden Roop, who makes a good catch to keep the chains moving and, most importantly, keep this drive alive. And so that's a 1st down past midfield. So there you go. But a couple plays later, 3rd and 16, Wilson trying to get something here. Throws it to Caitlin Sigmody, who then tries to pitch it back here, tries to throw it over Giselle Jones, but it's not quite high enough, and Jones snagged this one for an interception and almost returns it to the house, but gets stopped right before and is on the edge of the end zone. So basically they just traded interceptions on, I guess it's technically interceptions, on pitch plays. And so Thomas, they have 22 seconds left. They are on the edge of the red zone, still in a solid spot here. Let's go ahead and go to 3rd and 2 here, about 14 seconds left in this first half. Wilson throws the out route to Jones, who goes ahead, at least I believe it's Jones, who goes ahead and gets the 1st down and puts them in the red zone. 1st and 12, 8 seconds left here. They throw it, it's a drop, so that makes it a 2nd down with 4 seconds left here. And on 2nd down, Alexa Wilson throws, it looks like a skinny post to Brittany Delva, who just makes a tough and physical catch. This was good coverage, but Delva just made the better catch. That goes for a touchdown. That also makes it 12-0 here. And the extra point attempts are just no good. Now to start the 3rd, Thomas, they get the ball. They're not quite in the clear yet. If they go up by another score, it becomes a 3-score game. And obviously, I don't believe any team has come back against Thomas once they go up by 3 scores. And so here we go. Wilson throws the quick out to Margarita Pena, who gets the 1st down. Following that, a couple plays later, 3rd and 1 here. 3rd and manageable here. Wilson checks down to Kiana Cole over the middle. That goes for a 1st down pass midfield. After a quick throw tonight, Wilson has a quick throw to Margarita Pena, who gets held, and so they get moved up into the red zone and with a fresh set of downs. Fast forward to 3rd down here. Wilson rolls out right and lofts one up to the back of the end zone to Nakara Brown, who makes it 18-0. Then on the extra point, Wilson rolls out right and eventually finds Brown again to make it 19-0. At this point, the game is basically over here. Jeez, man. Weber just continuing to struggle to get big yardage here. I don't think Jada Reese has had any sacks, but she's definitely applying pressure, and so they have to get the ball out. And so they have no time to throw deep or in the middle routes, and even if they did, they're still pretty well covered, and so they're really just settling for these short passes that Thomas is just eating up and allowing very minimal yardage. And so that's basically how the rest of this game goes. Thomas does eventually get back into the red zone here, and they are not able to score. But other than that, I mean, with about 9 minutes left, well, that's when the drive starts, around 6 minutes 30 seconds left, Wilson throws a check down to Bria Cam, who makes a good pitch to Kayla Burrows, who goes ahead and scores on a big 20-yard play. That is probably the 2nd time they've had a play over 10 plus yards, I want to say. And so that's pretty big. She doesn't score. Excuse me. Golly. She gets into the red zone. And then on 3rd down, Wilson rolls out right and finds a receiver who makes it 19-6. Extra point is obviously no good. But that drive was set up by that big time play there. Still the 2nd 10-plus yard play that I believe Thomas has allowed. And from there on, Thomas just rolls and runs out the clock. And that's the final score. Thomas beats Weber 19-6 here. Kind of a little bit of a slow burn. It felt like Thomas's offense struggled to start here, but did a solid job near the end of the 2nd quarter, getting that extra score in the final seconds, and at the start of the 3rd quarter to go ahead and make it a 3-score game. This one, like I said, didn't really feel close. I mean, this Thomas defense played extremely well. I would say it was just the offense that was maybe a little bit off Still, though, won by 13. Player of the game for me, Janae Scott. I mean, she has been on fire lately. Only had 7 tackles, no turnovers per se, but she was pretty big in just directing this defense and stopping a lot of those short passes for minimal gains that just kind of put Weber in continuous situations where it was like 3rd and 15, 3rd and 18, like those long third downs, which is never ideal. So there you go, even for flag football, I would say. But anyways, let's go ahead and go to the last game from Thursday. Keiser versus Florida Memorial here. Here's how it would go down. Keiser would start with the ball, but after getting a first down, they would kind of sputter and unfortunately not get a conversion on 4th down here. So there you go. A penalty that, happened right before they attempted their this 4th down play, which was originally 4th and 1, will make it 4th and 6. And so I feel like that was a pretty big part into why they didn't get that first down to start. And so FMU, they would get the ball with about 8:22 left here, with a nice spot here, kind of near midfield. But a costly interception thrown by Eunice Montgomery, intercepted by Samaya Bryant, would go ahead and end that drive and put Keiser in a solid position here. And Keiser would go ahead and make use of that. They would drive downfield, about a 46-yard drive that would end with kind of a crazy 17-yard touchdown play where Roden would throw it to Ramirez, who then pitched it to Foster, who then eventually found Emma Wagenman here, who would go ahead and get her first touchdown of the game. And the first touchdown for Keiser, making it a 6-0 lead. A pass to Marissa Rubino would make it a 7-0 lead with about 3 minutes left here in the first. Now, Florida Memorial struggles here. They go ahead and go 3 and out. They had 2 incomplete passes on this drive. That definitely contributed to that. And so here we go, Keiser. They have a pretty solid return here. And so they're basically on the edge of the red zone. First play, they call a double pass. Haley Young has the ball, throws it, finds Brenna Ramirez. That goes for a touchdown, a 25-yard touchdown, just like that, to make it 13-0 inside the last minute of the first here. Last minute of the first quarter, that is. And so here we go, 13-0 in the second quarter. Florida Memorial, their struggles would continue on offense here. A personal foul on Keiser would give them a quick first down, but a quick 4-yard rush by Montgomery, and then 2 more incompletions, just not able to get these on the money. And I'm sure there's probably some drops thrown in this. We'll bring up another punt. And so Keiser would get the ball with about 10 minutes, 5 seconds left, but a sack by Oriana Brooks would basically kill this drive, and so that would make it a turnover on downs. FMU still only down 13-0, and so if they could get something, that would be big. And so here is what happens. Eunice Montgomery completes a huge pass to, I believe it's Jocelyn Nunez, who would go ahead and get about 27 yards on this reception. That would really jumpstart this offense. And they're in the red zone too, by the way. And so in the red zone, Montgomery would rush, she would rush twice, once for 11, and then the second time would go for a score on a 9-yard touchdown to give FMU a key touchdown to cut into this lead, making it 13-6 as the extra point is no good. But Keiser, they got the ball, 2 minutes left. They're looking to score. You already know. And so here we go. Roden would find Ramirez on a big 19-yard pass that would jumpstart this drive and get them into FMU territory. A couple plays later, it's under 35 seconds. Roden finds Kennedy Foster for a big pass for about 14 yards. That would put them, I believe, in the red zone. And then this drive would eventually end with Jasmine Roden finding Emma Wagman on a quick 4-yard touchdown, her second of the day. Extra point goes to Kennedy Foster, or Reliable, who makes it a 20-6 game at half here. So there you go. Keiser's offense doing a really good job. Defense as well, but kind of feels like a lot of this is self-inflicted by FMU, as they are only 6 of 16 passing, only 6 completions at the end of that first half. Looking to turn things around, here's what happens. FMU, they got the ball, and they start with 2 big 10-plus yard passes from Montgomery to Jocelyn Nunez and Erica Johnson. Also tag on a personal foul on Keiser. That would really get this drive moving as they do get past midfield. But unfortunately, 2 straight sacks in a row by Emma Wagman would push them not only out of Keiser territory, but obviously way out of going for it on fourth down territory. And so they are forced to punt it. But Keiser, just a little off the mark here. You know, they have 3 straight incompletions that would really hurt this drive. And so they would turn it over on downs, trying to go for it on fourth, but it just didn't work out. And so FMU, they get the ball back here. After some time, they are in Keiser territory. And so here's what happens. Montgomery finds Simon Villanoz for a big first down to get this drive going and also get them in the red zone, mind you. Couple plays later, it comes down to a fourth down situation. FMU really needs a score here to cut it back to 1 score. And that's what they get. Montgomery delivers a nice throw to Nunez for a 14-yard touchdown to make it 20-12. Once again, though, the extra point is no good, and it's looking like this might hurt FMU in the long run. Going into the fourth quarter, though, Keiser, they get the ball here. They're moving downfield. A short pass to Kennedy Foster would actually put them past midfield. But a couple plays in, it's 3rd and 9 as his FMU defense is starting to tighten up a bit. And on 3rd down, Roden drops back, and she is sacked by Deja Fanning. That would make it a huge 4th and 17 situation where Keiser is forced to punt it. And I believe this is their first punt of the day here. And so FMU in a perfect situation, maybe not perfect, but in a good situation, where they could definitely at least score and make it a 2-point game, potentially even tie it pending the extra point, but they got to score first. But unfortunately, on the first play, Montgomery tries to pass it, but this one is intercepted by Sydney Woodman, which takes just all the momentum out of FMU. And so just like that, Keiser, they have the ball back, and on the first play, Jasmine Roden takes a shot down the left sideline, finds Sophia Caprio in one-on-one. She has a step, slows down just a bit, adjusts, catches it, burns her defender. That's a 30-yard touchdown. That feels like a knockout blow to me. Keiser taking a 26-12 lead as the extra point was no good. There's 5:28 left in this game. Florida Memorial, like I said, it felt like a knockout blow, but there's still some time here. They do have to score kind of fast here, and it doesn't start out great as Montgomery starts the drive getting sacked by Reagan Pellegrino, but shakes it off and completes a key reception to Simon Santos on 4th down to give them a fresh set of downs. A couple plays later, Montgomery rips off a massive 19-yard rush to get them into Keiser territory. Then she completes a pass to Jennifer Bethel on 2nd and 4 to get them into the red zone. And following that, Montgomery finds Alexis Nelson for a 13-yard touchdown pass. Although at 1 minute 27 seconds to make it a 26-18 lead. For Keiser, that is. They're still leading in this game 26-18. But took a lot of time on that. I mean, it came down to multiple late down plays here for them to convert and keep this drive alive, which ultimately hurt because if you keep going, 3rd down and then 4th down and 3rd down, that means you're burning so many plays in between. And on top of that, they didn't get the extra point. And so one would have to think if it was 21-26, how different this game could really be. So there you go. But instead, it's 26-18. And so here we go. 1 minute 27 left. Keiser goes ahead and puts Haley Young in at quarterback. She's under center. She completes a pass to Wagaman, who just takes this thing 49 yards. Almost scores, but gets into the red zone here. And that happens on the first play of the drive. So basically at this point, it feels like it's over. FMU does proceed to burn its final 2 timeouts as it comes down to a 4th down play here on the 2. And on 4th down, Deja Fanning actually intercepts Haley Young to give FMU the ball back with only 19 seconds left. But you're only down by 8, 19 seconds left. There's a chance, but it's definitely uphill. It starts with a promising 10-yard pass to Simon Santos, but following that, Montgomery will then get intercepted on what looks like to either be an out or a hitch route. It looked like to be a short pass, but Alexis Santiago ends that drive, and not only ends it, but returns it to the house just in case to make it 33-18 after the extra point. And that is the final score as Keiser defeats FMU 33-18. This game felt pretty close at times. FMU just kind of ran out of time and missed some pretty big opportunities. I would say the player of the game for this one is Emma Wagman, though. 7 receptions, 93 receiving yards, 2 receiving, I want to say those are 2 receiving touchdowns there. And then on defense, also 3 tackles, 2 sacks. 2 of those sacks basically ended one big promising drive for FMU, which did end up mattering at the end. And so Keiser, hey, playing some of these games close, but FMU is definitely a team that's improving. Keiser still gets the dub, still got to feel good about that. If you're FMU, you're getting closer to winning these games. I definitely believe they're getting better. I really like Eunice Montgomery at quarterback for now. We'll see about them moving forward here, but FMU is definitely a team to look out for, especially in the national tournament, I would say, here in about a month or so. Now let's go ahead and move on to our last game here. It'll be pretty quick. It is number 1 Ottawa versus Reinhardt here. Ottawa going to Georgia for this one, and this would actually be Reinhardt's last regular season game of the season. And because they are also not in a conference, they do not have a conference tournament, and so the next time we see Reinhardt will be at the national tournament here, I believe, on May 18th through 20th. Hopefully those are right there. I'm gonna assume they are, and so that's a little bit over a month, to rest up, practice, continue to get better, and all of that great stuff. They've had a really busy first couple weeks of the season, and so they will be, I want to say, the first team that would end up wrapping their season a little early here, a little bit early, but this one wasn't super close. I mean, Ottawa would go ahead and defeat them 51-6, and so I'll just talk about box score for now. Madison Carrera, 18 of 26, 321 yards, 6 passing touchdowns, 91 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, for a total of 8 touchdowns in this game. Jaslyn Camacho led all receivers with 5 receptions, 95 yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. DJ Paris, 6 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack. I want to say she led with those 6 tackles there. Lauren Clark also had 2 sacks in this game. Good to see her get in there, get some reps. And then Farron Maliff and Haley McKay each had an interception. Now for Reinhardt, interesting enough here, Ashlyn McKinley got the start here and didn't do too bad. 10 of 20 for 125 passing yards, 1 touchdown to 2 interceptions here. So not too bad at all. She did her thing. It will be interesting to see who starts moving forward, especially going into the national tournament for sure there. And then Nina Johnson led with 4 receptions, 60 yards. Then on defense, Kalaya Wimbush and Amani Lindsay actually each had an interception each. So, boom, there you go there. That'll wrap up Reinhardt's regular season. And honestly, not too bad of a first season to start. I mean, they went ahead, won 3 games, played some really tough teams between the top teams in the KCAC, Ottawa, Midland, Kansas Wesleyan, the top teams in the Sun Conference, Thomas, Keiser, obviously St. Thomas, Weber, FMU always in there as usual, Weber. I mean, they played some really tough teams. They obviously had, I would say they had the toughest schedule in the entire country. Nobody in the country played as tough a schedule as they did, but, they persevered, they did their thing, they won a couple games and they got better, and that's really all you could hope for. I mean, you need these players to be battle tested and whatnot, and just really see what you have, and so there you go there. Ottawa obviously getting another dub, adding another one to their record as they head home. I don't think it matters a lot, but for player of the game, I'm going to go ahead and go with Madison Carrera once more. I mean, 8 touchdowns. I think that speaks for itself. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about Playmaker of the Week. First, as usual, once again reviewing all the players of the game from this last week here. And so starting with this Weber versus Campbellsville game from April 4th, Tuesday. Player of that game, I would say, is Jasmine Henry. 3 receptions, 143 yards, a receiving touchdown, and a sack. That is big time as they go ahead. Weber goes ahead and takes care of business there. In the Warner versus St. Thomas game, unfortunately, don't have the complete stats from this one, but I think I got to go with Kaylee Miller here. She had the big game-winning touchdown on a huge 39-yard reception when she made all of those players miss. That was big time for her there, and for St. Thomas as well, beating Warner. So, boom, there you go. In that Midland versus Bethel game, a player of the game, Alyssa Butler, she really went off in that first half, getting multiple touchdowns. I want to say, actually not multiple touchdowns, but getting the first score. She got the sack to get the safety to start, and then a couple plays later, I believe she would go ahead and get the touchdown. And so that ended up being pretty big time there to start that game. And so I'll go with Alyssa Butler on this one for player of the game. Ottawa versus St. Mary. A blowout here, but I would say player of the game or players of the game were Madison Carrera, who had 7 touchdowns, a rushing touchdown, at least 1 rushing touchdown, receiving touchdown, and had 5 passing touchdowns, so obviously big time. And then Abby Brown as well, who had a really good game, 7 tackles, 3 interceptions in that one. Now in the Kansas Wesleyan versus Midland game, player of the game, I got to go with Alexa Mansur. 4 tackles, 2 interceptions, which were pretty big time, and a pass breakup. But I do want to also recognize Layla Casillan as well. I thought she did really well. So co-players of the game here. She had 6 tackles and 5 sacks. All of those were real instrumental in them kind of just disrupting Midland and giving them a tough time. And then in the Ottawa versus Cottey game, I think once more has to be Madison Carrera, 18-25, 301 yards, 6 touchdowns. There you go there. Another big-time performance. Now, in the Thomas versus Weber game, this one was a little bit tough. I feel like this was very much a team win here, I would say. But I'm going to go with Janae Scott, 7 tackles in this one. A lot of key tackles to just keep forcing Weber into tough situations. A lot of 3rd and longs because of her flag pulling and how she did on defense. So there you go. But, you could say that about every game. Now, in the Keiser versus FMU Florida Memorial game, I think player of the game has to be Emma Wagman. 7 receptions, 93 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 tackles, 2 sacks. What more could you ask for? This game was a lot closer, I would say, than it looks like just looking at the scoreboard and whatnot. So there you go. And then finally, Ottawa versus Reinhardt once more. Madison Carrera, 8 touchdowns total in this one. 321 yards, 91 rushing yards, as always, as they go ahead and take care of business. But there can only be one Playmaker of the week here. And as usual, this one was close, but your Week 8 Playmaker of the Week for this 2023 season is St. Thomas's Kaylee Miller. That touchdown was big time. If I don't know if it's available for replay. Hopefully it is on demand and whatnot, but go back and watch that play. Just her making that catch, first off, was huge because the defense was there, and Warner has a very opportunistic defense, and then her just, doing the rest and just scoring, that was big time. That was absolutely big time and really applied the pressure to Warner because a score is a score, and so that would end up being the game-winning touchdown. I think she's very deserving. She's been on fire these last couple weeks, as has the St. Thomas team. And, that score did allow St. Thomas to upset Warner. And so I think she absolutely deserves this one. A lot of very deserving players this week. Madison Carrera blasted every team she played this week, so that's obviously huge. Doesn't go without noticing. Emma Wagman had a really good week of football here, especially against FMU. That was pretty big time. And then Thomas, as usual, I mean, you could pick a million players from that squad to be Playmaker of the week. But it has to go to Kaylee Miller here. I think it's extremely deserving. And I mean, hey, upsetting a team ranked above you is always going to give you points in these type of recognitions, at least for us here on the podcast. So there you go. Kaylee Miller is your Week 8 Playmaker of the Week. All right, and then before we go into power rankings, I do want to talk about end of the year awards. So you, the people, went ahead and voted on our Instagram. By the way, if you did that, appreciate that. And you voted for and said that you wanted best position player awards. So it'd be like best quarterback, best receiver, running back, so on and so on there. And so that's what we're going to do. And on top of that, you also voted that players can be nominated for multiple awards. And so, boom, there you go. I know last week we released all of those frontrunners for Opoi, Depoy, MVP, and Freshman of the Year. You know, all of them will be considered for, you know, other awards as appropriate as well in those categories. And then with these best position player awards, the same here. And so you will see some who will be eligible for a couple of different ones. And I had to really think this through, do my research, set some boundaries here as well. I am going into this with the mindset that this will most likely be a regular season award. And so before the NAIA National Tournament, you will know, or we will put up polls and whatnot and get it done and get an episode out about who has won these best position awards. I think that is something that I'd really like to do before the NAIA tournament, just so that, you know, you can know who to look out for, and then we could also talk about all the great players going into this tournament and who to look out for and what team they play for and all that great stuff. And so on this segment here, I just want to go down the line and talk about, you know, these positions and the best players at these positions and who we are considering right now. But right off the bat, and I'm just saying this right now, just because it's kind of just where I'm at, the only positions that we are not doing is center, just because I feel like that one could get really tough. I mean, some teams just have their center block, other teams block in quotations. Other teams use them as more of a check down, and that one's just really tough to do. So I'm not doing that one. Plus, it's really hard to quantify that in stats if we were to even look at that. Not that every team lists down stats anyways, and so we're not doing that one this year. So just putting that out there. Sorry, not sorry, but that's just what we decided. And then we're not going to do special teams, which is really just punter returner, because nobody posts punting stats, or at least not many people post punting stats, if at all anyways. So that one's really tough to do there. There'd be maybe like 4 or 5 athletes that I'd be like, yeah, you know, they're up there as, you know, one of the best punters. But that, I don't know, just special teams, I can't be doing that unless I get stats and I'm just really paying attention to just special teams when I'm watching games, which is obviously not what I do at all. So there you go. So not doing special teams there. And there is one other note here. I was gonna split this award into cornerbacks and safeties. We might do that in the next couple years, but I think right now I just want to do defensive backs. So put safeties and corners together, because I know a lot of these great players in a lot of schemes definitely switch between safety, corner, and some even, you know, come down into the box, into linebacker or rusher position. And so I just kind of want to leave that relatively open and just have it be defensive backs, because I don't really want to look through all the games from this last season and see, oh, was this player more of a safety or more of a cornerback? Were they at cornerback 51% of the time? Or I'm not doing all that, you know. I know if they're good or not. And so that category will actually be a little bit bigger here, because for the most part, we have narrowed down these awards to around 10-ish players a position here. And if there's any players we miss, please let us know respectfully, of course, and whatnot, because there are a lot of teams comb through a lot of film, which Jesus was a lot of time, went through a lot of stats that were available. There's a lot of stats that aren't available, but we did what we could, and honestly, we're gonna have to continue to narrow it down week by week here as we get closer, because I want to make it more of a Final Four type of deal here in the leading up to the national tournament. And so it will come down to a Final Four that I will vote on, Cottey will vote on, you, the people, will vote on, and then obviously our friends at NAIA football will get to vote on as well, just like we do with all of our end of the year awards. So boom, there you go. Just had to get all of those notes out of the way. If we're missing anybody, let us know respectfully. We'll add them to the list. We'll consider them, but eventually we got to narrow this thing down. Not everyone could be their best, position player. So let's just get to it right here. And you know what? I'm going to start on defense. Here, starting with defensive backs. And this is in no particular order. I'll talk about, I guess who are the favorites and whatnot after I list off everyone. But at defensive backs, considering best defensive backs, the players we are considering for this award is St. Thomas sophomore Tashumba Washington, St. Thomas junior, I believe, Jada Graham, and St. Thomas sophomore Miranda Faridas. Excuse me if I'm saying that name wrong. Hopefully I am. And then there's also Florida Memorial sophomore Erica Johnson, who has been having an excellent year. Basically included all the Thomas DBs as well. Freshman Aaliyah Woods, senior Giselle Jones, sophomore Nakara Brown, who have had an excellent season. Keiser Jr. Kennedy Foster has been pretty key for this Keiser defense as well. Ottawa Jr. Suzanne Kaufman has had some good games and is only going to pick it up, to be honest with you here. So just kind of keep an eye on that. And then, also Thomas sophomore Kiara Knight is on there, or on this list as well. And then the last two we have are both freshmen. Weber freshman Caitlin Sigmundy at safety has had some really good games. And then Kansas Wesleyan freshman Shania Marape is definitely on there. She is somebody who moves around a lot and was really hard to nail down as a DB, safety, rusher, linebacker, whatever. Regardless, she is on this defensive backs list. And so there you go there. One of these DBs will win our first ever Best Defensive Backs in the Country award. And it's going to be tough. I ain't even going to lie. And you're going to probably notice, some of these teams have 3-4 players on here. And yep, that's correct here. I think they're truly the best in the country. I wouldn't just be putting them on here just because, their team's undefeated or their defense as a whole is doing well. All of them do a really good job. You want to break it down individually, you can, because each of them has had some pretty key games here. When I'm looking at, best players at a position, I need signature games. You have to have signature games. And I think every one of these players have had a signature game or will be having a signature game here soon. The only one that maybe hasn't had per se a signature game is maybe Suzanne Kaufman, but she's had some really good games lately. And I mean, it doesn't always show on the stat sheet, but she does her job really well. And I mean, I think that's a mark of a great DB as well if they're not throwing your way. So there you go. But I would say, if this is just my vote, I'm not speaking for Cottey or any football guys or you, the people who will also have a vote, but I think the lead DBs for me is definitely, I have to throw in there Tashumba Washington. She has been excellent. I mean, she's played a lot more safety this year, I would say, but there are definitely moments where she would just go one-on-one. Thinking back to that Warner game, she had some very key one-on-one plays against Cynthia Holmes, who is on these, or is considered for these awards at receiver and linebacker. Spoiler alert, by the way. So there you go there, and is an excellent athlete. And so I think Tashumba Washington is definitely up there for me. I believe any of the Thomas players could win it as well. I've really liked Aaliyah Wood, but obviously there's Giselle Jones, Nakara Brown, who's done their job. Kiara Knight is one that really stands out to me as well. Plays a lot of safety, I think, really has held it down for Thomas. I mean, they've all held it down, but I think when it comes to stopping deep threats and forcing teams to take what's there, she's done a good job. She's definitely done a good job by playing those positionings really well and doing her job there. And so that one's going to be kind of tough between those Thomas defenders. Low-key, they take a little bit away from each other because they do get to play with each other, but I think on a lot of other teams, they would be, close to DB1s, if not DB1s. So there you go. And then if I had to name, I guess, a couple dark horses in this one, there's a lot of, they're all here for a reason. So I don't really want to do that, but I do want to recognize Erica Johnson for Flomo, Florida Memorial. She's done her job over there. She had a great season last season as a freshman and whatnot. I think this year it's really carried over, and she's done a great job. So a lot of respect to her. St. Thomas's Miranda Fairdes has really come on strong lately. If you look at the last, let's go 3 or 4 weeks, she's gone to work. She's got a lot of picks. She's made key plays, key deflections. She's definitely been big time. I do want to shout out Jada Graham, obviously. I think she had a really strong start to the year here. She's still doing pretty well, but teams aren't really throwing her way. So, like Suzanne Kaufman, not too much to talk about there. And then Kennedy Foster, I think she's really underrated here as a DB. Definitely respected, though, no doubt, but deserves to be on here. And then I do want to talk about some of the lone freshmen here outside of Aaliyah Wood. Kaylin Sigmundy, Shania Marape. Marape having a great year for Kansas Wesleyan. This Kansas Wesleyan defense do have a couple players, at least on the defensive side of things, as far as position awards go. So a lot of respect to her, plus a freshman, and she's really versatile too. I think that's something that's really going her way. A lot like Tashumba Washington. She moves up and down, Playmaker's a playmaker, right? So there you go. And then, of course, loved Caitlin Sigmundy as well. I think she has been really good at safety, has been a real bright spot for this Weber defense. There are obviously mistakes here and there, but that's what every DB is going to make. And I think I would say she's up there, honestly. I would definitely say she's up there as one of the best in the entire country already right now. So there you go. But let's go ahead and move on to linebackers. And this is one that I am definitely not looking forward to narrowing down. You have multiple players, from programs, from single programs. So this will be tough. But let me just go down the line here. Thomas Sr., Britt Delva. Thomas Sophomore, Janae Scott. Moving on, Weber Senior, Caleb Burrows. Warner Sophomore, Cynthia Holmes. Midland Senior, Casey Thompson. Kansas Wesleyan Sophomore. It's got two of them, Alexa Mansur and Lexi Marquez. Ottawa Junior, Abby Brown. She just had an excellent week. And then you have Warner freshman Lexi Mosley. This one was kind of tough. I knew I had to pick a player from Warner here. I think she's been really good personally, so there you go. And then Keiser sophomore Samaya Bryant, another, I guess, really underrated part of this team, but a big part of Keiser's success for sure. So there you go. That's the linebacking core. That's the group that I'm gonna pick the best linebacker from, and this is tough. I think all of them have pretty good stats in general. Some of them are not as complete as others for sure, but other than that, they've all done a really good job, have led really good defenses. Each of them have had signature games. I would say most of them have had multiple signature games, like 4 or 5, realistically, in my opinion. And they've been a big part of their defense. They're the leaders of their defense. They redirect the middle. They rush sometimes. They cover a lot of the time. So it's going to be really hard to pick from this. If I had to go right now, I don't think I'd be able to pick a Final Four just yet. I don't think I would be able to. Caleb Burrows, Cynthia Holmes, and then Delva and Scott, in my opinion, for sure should make it. but Casey Thompson's had a good year. The Kansas Wesleyan linebackers, both Mansour and Marquez, have had good years. A lot of interceptions, I want to say, between both of those. And then you also have Abby Brown for Ottawa, who has been turning it up by a lot. I think she definitely deserves to be in that top 4 as well. And then obviously Lexi Mosley, Samaya Bryant as well. I think this next month is going to be very, very key to, who makes the Final Four and who doesn't. Like I said, this is definitely a regular season award. I've watched enough games for all of these players. I've watched at least 5 or 6 games, I want to say, for pretty much all of these players to be at the point where it's like, okay, this is definitely a regular season type of award, and I can't make a decision. But this will be tough. There's definitely going to be some deliberating between myself, Cottey, and the NAIA F-ball guys about this one. Yeah. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how this one goes for sure. But this one's definitely going to be probably one of our toughest position awards to decide, in my opinion. There's a lot. I wouldn't say there's a clear front runner. I would say there's a clear 6 that I would not mind winning it at all. So I wouldn't mind any of them winning it, but I think there's a clear 6-ish, probably a little bit more. You could convince me on a lot of them that deserve to, win this thing. And so it'll be tough for sure, but there you go. There, elite group right here, by the way. So going on to rusher, this is definitely a little bit of a smaller group here. Some teams, opt to send 2 rushers or move up a player, or maybe they don't send a rusher all the time and they just kind of switch back and forth, and so their stats aren't always the greatest because they're not allowed to rush a whole ton. But I think I've narrowed it down to a pretty solid group here. Now I do want to shout out 3 players here who I think are kind of more so on the edge of things here. First off, Reinhardt's freshman Carson Paget. Got to speak with her actually last week. Great person. I think she's been great. She's had some really good games. I want to say the Campbellsville games were some of her signature games in my opinion. But unfortunately, got hurt in, I'm not going to say which one, but got hurt in some of these games in the last couple weeks. And obviously their regular season just ended, so this is a regular season award. It's going to be tough for her to come back since she did, lose a couple games. So there you go there. Same kind of with Kerryon Cloyd. I know she's been out a couple games as well. Like I said, regular season award, so it'll be a tough go. So there you go. I'd actually say those 2 definitely deserve to be recognized in some sort of way. That's why I'm shouting them out. But injuries are injuries, so that's a tough thing. But the rest, let me go ahead and talk about who we are for sure considering for this Best Rusher of the Year award. And usually these are players that I wouldn't really consider linebackers per se. Maybe they drop back, but for the most part, they're right up on the line. They're stopping runs. They're rushing the passer at least 60 to 70% of the time, probably more for most of these players. And so starting at the top, also your reigning defensive playmaker of the year, Thomas sophomore Jada Reese. Then you have Florida Memorial freshman Deja Fanning, Midland sophomore Sydney Red. I have 2 Ottawa players, junior DJ Dejanise Paris here. She's one that definitely could have been considered for linebacker, but I see her line up a lot more at the line. And also I think she's someone that if she has a really big month as well, she could definitely make a push for this thing. Also, sophomore Addie Osborne, really interesting, playing a lot of defense this year, which absolutely love, but she's been great as well, so have to give her some love there. Then Keiser sophomore Reagan Pellegrino is on this, along with Weber freshman Jada Dillard. It was either her, Dillard, or Jasmine Henry. I feel like Dillard has had the more snaps, so I'm just going to go with her, and she's had some bigger games defensively, I would say for sure. So that was kind of tough, but there you go. And then Kansas Wesleyan freshman Onsteon Rabano, definitely a big part of that KWU defense over there. So there you go. If I had to name some front runners for this thing, obviously Jada Reese, Deja Fanning, and DJ Paris are up there for me. Right now, I would say now, does that mean nobody else could come back and win this thing? No, there's like a month left, in regular season games. I don't think I will include any conference tournaments, so just keep that in mind as well. But, with the rusher, it's really hard to come across a great elite rusher that you could put out there all the time, and they're going to stop the run. They're going to stop a lot of short passes, too. That's something a lot of these great players do. And just anything, in the short game, they'll just eat it up and stop for a loss, if not maybe, minimal gains. So there you go there. Those are all the defensive position awards. And let's get to the offense, and let's start at running back. We'll do quarterback last here. So running back, I do realize a lot of these players are listed as a receiver. That's fine, but most of these players pretty much line up right next to the center or next to the quarterback or something like that. But they're definitely closer to the center, and so I'm going to consider them a running back for the sake of this thing. And we do have a lot of candidates here. So let me just start here with Thomas, sophomore. Kiana Cole obviously missed some games, but has come back and has done a really good job there, so I want to include her on this ahead of these last couple games. Warner freshman Jenna Marrero has been big time. Keiser sophomore Emma Wagenman is there. Ottawa junior Mando Scalisi, definitely there, has been huge for Ottawa, honestly. Campbellsville freshman Presley Payne gets a lot of carries for them. Kansas Wesleyan sophomore Kendra Velasquez Monroe, she's come up big time. Midland freshman Jocelyn Lopez, Weber freshman Jasmine Henry, St. Thomas freshman Dominique Parks, and then Florida Memorial sophomore Kayla McDuffie. A lot of freshmen on this list. I think this is actually the position where there's a lot of freshmen that made this list, and a lot of these players, like I said, line up close to the quarterback or center most of the time, and then they go run the routes or, they get handoffs, pitches, whatever, and they do a good job. Some of them will even line up under center, and go ahead and run the ball and have some sort of QB design run type of deal going on there. And so this one is also going to be pretty tough. I would say right now, I don't really want to name a bunch of front runners because I think this is a very tough position group award, just like linebackers, I would say, where there's multiple that are up there. First off, Keiser sophomore Emma Wageman, she's been excellent. Had a big week, huge week this last week, and she's already somebody who I want to say she made our all-Playmaker team last year, so she's kind of just continuing to build on the reputation, but she's a big part of that Keiser offense for sure. So there you go. And then Kiana Cole for Thomas. Whenever they need to salt a game away or get short yardage, whether it's first downs or touchdowns, she gets it done. So obviously got to include her. Warner freshman Jenna Marrero has been excellent as well. Very key to that Warner offense, just being able to make players miss, get short yardage situations, put them in better spots. Also somebody that you could put at quarterback as well, and she'll do a pretty solid job, so definitely considering a little bit of that. Ottawa junior Mando Scalisi has been excellent as well. She's had a lot of big plays, these last couple weeks. I definitely think she's going to continue to make a noise moving forward here. Talking about some freshmen, let me talk about all these freshmen in general. Presley Payne, Jocelyn Lopez, Jasmine Henry, Dominique Parks. All of them have actually kind of been relied on pretty heavily in certain games. I feel like all of them have had some signature games already where they're getting a ton of handoffs, a lot of checkdowns, and they led their team to victory by doing a lot of those. And so a lot of respect to them, and so it's going to be tough to pick from that group as well. All of these players in general. Then you have the sophomores, Kendra Velasquez Monroe, Kayla McDuffie, who continue to do their job as well and do it at a very high level. So a lot of respect to them. And so this one is going to be really tough. We got to get it to 4. And so I would say just like linebackers, these next couple weeks are going to be key. They are going to be absolutely huge in deciding who deserves to be in the Final Four to even start, and then voting so far. whoever has the most signature games, in my opinion, is going to win this thing. The most signature games in this last month in the regular season is going to win this thing. So there you go. But that race is definitely wide open, though. I don't think there's anybody that leads, obviously, yet here. And there's going to be, biases between programs. Every program's going to believe their athlete is the best. That's fine. That's great. But we're talking about best in the country, so you have to compare athletes to each other across the country here. So there you go. Now, at wide receiver, this is another stacked one. I don't think this one is quite wrapped up yet, so I would say this is wide open. But let me talk about everyone who is considered on this list. Let me start with Reinhardt freshman Nina Johnson. I wanted to throw her in here because she's had some really good games. Her team has struggled at times, but I think her talent is no doubt there for sure. Now, with her playing her last game this last week, it's going to be tough for her to really make a push, but definitely wanted to give her some recognition. All right, now let's talk about the rest of these players here. Let's start with Kansas Wesleyan sophomore Angel Roman. There's Midland senior Casey Thompson, who has emerged as the wideout one. At least in my opinion, she's made some really good and clutch catches for that squad as of late. I have multiple Thomas players. I have three. I chose to go with the elder ones here. Kara Knight, Kara Brown, Giselle Jones. All of them have been big time. All of them have had huge games as well. So there you go. Ottawa junior Jaslyn Camacho is definitely on this list. If you want to go by stats, she's definitely I want to say she's leading the team at this point. So there you go there, at least after this last week. Gotta talk about Ottawa junior Alyssa Linkus. She's very much in this race as well. Then you have St. Thomas Jr. Jada Graham. She's been electric for St. Thomas here. Has been a huge part of that offense and is an OPOY candidate. So, boom. You have Weber Sr. Kayla Burrows. She also leads her team. Last I checked, she had like 700 yards, 14 touchdowns. Definitely above that after this last week. Cynthia Holmes from Warner, sophomore. Huge per usual. Basically a living highlight reel. She's been big time as well. And then, as always, Keiser Jr. Kennedy Foster is in the mix. I mean, when they need a first down, she's there. Right? When they need a touchdown, she's there. Also, she draws a lot of attention, so that is pretty big as usual. Now, it's going to be tough to pick from these. I mean, we're going to have to go ahead and narrow it down to a final four. I am going to say this right now. Teams with multiple receivers in, it's going to be tough, to pick just one of those. Like I said, this next couple weeks, the player or athletes with multiple signature games are definitely going to stand out more here as the year goes on. And so I'm just putting that out there. It's going to be tough. And I know some of these receivers, I mean, they're as good as their quarterbacks, right? You need a good quarterback to be, a productive receiver at least. And so I'm just putting that out there. But this one's going to be a tough one as well, just getting it to 4. Because right now I struggle to even get it to 10, I would say. So, yeah. There you go. But those are your receivers, the best in the country, in my opinion, right now. One of them is going to win best wideout in the country. Pretty positive about that now. I'm not really looking into adding more names, if anything. So there you go. Now, the last position here is quarterbacks here. Just going to talk about everyone listed. I got really picky. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to put every quarterback. I'm not going to put 10 quarterbacks on this list. So this one's probably closer to 6 or 7 here, as I do want to kind of get closer to narrowing this down. And I am pretty sure of this. But let's just talk about all the candidates here. Ottawa Junior Madison Carrera, Keiser Senior Jasmine Roden, Kansas Wesleyan Senior Brianna Hernandez Silva, Warner Sophomore Madison Tingen, Weber Sophomore Sam Wilson, Thomas Freshman Alexa Wilson, Midland Senior Michaela Nunez, and then St. Thomas Junior Holly Neher. So there you go. I'm probably not going to take any more candidate names. I really want to say the best quarterback award is going to go to one of these QBs right here. So it's going to be tough. Now, talking about frontrunners, I would say Madison Carrera is right there for sure. I'm sure there's gonna be an argument about level of competition and whatnot. And to me, I mean, she plays quarterback at a high level regardless, so I'm not really concerned about that. And Ottawa hasn't exactly had, I guess, the smoothest or most dominant season. They've still been really good though, for sure, no doubt about it. But there have been some bumpy times, and I would say Madison Carrera has really been a mainstay of this team, and we all knew that. But she's played calm, collected, doesn't make bad decisions, doesn't turn over the ball a whole ton. And at the end, I mean, they still end up blowing out a team, even, despite some slower starts. But she's definitely somebody who I believe is the front runner right now. Now, all that could change here in a month for sure, but definitely a front runner. Right behind her, these two QBs are definitely closer than some might expect. But Jasmine Roden out of Keiser and Brianna Hernandez Silva out of Kansas Wesleyan, two seniors here. Actually, I guess two players who graduated last year potentially. But regardless, two players here who I have a lot of respect for. They run some of the best offenses in the entire country. And I mean, they've led some really clutch drives, and each of them have signature games, multiple, just like Carrera. So there you go. Now you have the rest of these quarterbacks here, who I'm not ruling out at all. I think any of them could have really big games here that could really kind of spur them forward here. But they would need to, continue to have some big signature games. I want to talk about St. Thomas Jr. Holly Neer. I think she definitely deserves to be in this competition. I mean, last week wasn't, I guess, the greatest example. I mean, throwing 3 interceptions in the first half, one of them being a pick six, it's never a good thing, but came back with 4 touchdowns and won the game, which, hey, that does matter. And, there is always that argument about whether wins are a quarterback stat. Well, in flag football, you can't win without a great quarterback, at least consistently. So, just putting that out there. Now, Midland senior Michaela Nunez, I think she has been excellent. I definitely think she deserves to at least be recognized, and so here she is. Guess for her stock to move up and make the Final Four, she definitely has to have more signature games moving forward. That's all I'm saying, so there you go. And then there's only one freshman who I'm considering, and seriously considering, for this best quarterback award, and that is Thomas freshman Alexa Wilson. She's been excellent, right? Started the season pretty bumpy, which, I mean, you could expect from any freshman, but has really excelled as of late. You could obviously, go ahead and give credit to the coaching staff, Coach Palmer out there, her receivers who are all very experienced and have been pretty big time as well. But at the end of the day, I mean, you got to run this offense, and you got to make decisions on your own, and you got to make tough decisions at that, and you got to win games. And that's what Wilson has done here. Not just close games, but just blasting teams with solid defenses, with players who I just talked about, honestly. So definitely somebody who I would say is maybe a little bit of a dark horse here to win this award, but I really like her game so far here, and we'll see moving forward. Now, sophomores, one from Weber, one from Warner, Sam Wilson from Weber, Madison Tingen from Warner. I think both of them have had really good seasons so far, definitely in the top tier of quarterbacks in the entire country. It just doesn't help that they have lost some key games the last couple weeks, so definitely a little bit biased there. They're going to need some big games moving forward for them to move up on this list and definitely at least make that Final Four. In my mind, like I said, I don't speak for Cottey or the NAIA ball guys or you, the people, but these are just my opinions there. So, take them or leave them. It's my podcast. So, boom, there you go. But those are all the players that we are considering for these end of the year position player awards. All right, now moving on to power rankings. Not too much changes here, but let me go ahead and recap the power rankings from last week, week 7 here. At 15, Milligan, 14, Bethel, 13, St. Mary, 12, Cottey, 11, Campbellsville, 10, Reinhardt, 9, Florida Memorial, 8, Midland, 7 Kansas Wesleyan, 6 Weber, 5 St. Thomas, 4 Warner, 3 Keiser, 2 Ottawa, and at number 1 Thomas. Not too many changes here. I am going to say 7 to 15 pretty much stays the same right now. There is only one change really. I should say 6 to 15 pretty much stays the same for right now. And there's really only one change here that I'm going to make, but it is a top 4/5 change here. And so at number 1 still is going to be Thomas. 2 is still going to be Ottawa. 3 is still going to be Keiser. But your new number 4 is St. Thomas right here. And I guess your new number 5 as well is Warner. I mean, that was a pretty big game that St. Thomas won over Warner. And honestly, I mean, if you really look at St. Thomas's schedule, I mean, they swept Warner. You know, and St. Thomas was a team that we did have ranked in the top 4. I believe they were right at 4 to start the season. You know, they got that big 12-6 dub over Warner. That was huge. But then they lost to Thomas, 18-26. Not as bad. They didn't get blown out like some other teams did. But then they did get blown out by Weber, 37-14. That is when they made a quarterback change to Holly Neer, who, in my opinion, has played really well in in all of her starts so far this season. She has went 7-1. Currently on a 7-game winning streak. Her one loss was a 12-20 loss to Keiser, which in my opinion was a winnable one. But they're going to get to play Keiser at the end of the season, April 22nd. So boom, there you go there. And so they definitely move up ahead of Warner. I would say Warner, I mean, could have won this game. I mean, they could have won the first game too, which they also lost by basically a score, but they didn't. And so for that, I think it's fair to say St. Thomas moves up 1 and Warner only moves down 1. I mean, look, golly, maybe this isn't gonna, maybe it's not gonna age really well here, but I did say Warner was my black horse team going into the national tournament here, and definitely an underdog, I would say. And I still believe that. I definitely still believe that for sure here. This next week, they got a big week. They play Florida Memorial, and then they play Keiser. If they beat Keiser, could definitely see them moving up here. It's going to be a whole mess. But could definitely see them moving up here. And Keiser probably dropping potentially 2 spots. And so we'll see, but I wouldn't just cross out Flomo just yet, as they have been pretty good. And they also pushed Keiser. So just keep that in mind. I still think Warner is going to get it going here. But they got to win games. They got to win the big game. That's what I said a couple weeks ago. It's good that they're on a little win streak and, they're beating a bunch of people, but they got to win some big games. And they lost 3 big games so far in a row against Keiser, Thomas, and St. Thomas. And so you got to get back if you're Warner. But I'm not going to kill them for, losing to teams in the top 5. Not at all. And so they're just going to be at 5 right now. I still think they're better than Weber, and so that's where they lie. Everything else basically stays the same. Ottawa, I mean, I know they had some really big wins and whatnot. I mean, against number 12 and number 10 as well. And number 13. That should be expected for sure. And so there you go. Thomas, I mean, once again, it was a little bit closer for sure here. Weber pushing them, but I think it was definitely more just the offense not clicking super great. So there's that. And so, everything else pretty much stays the same for now, I would say. As the Sun Conference begins to end, you could definitely see a little bit of a shakeup here. In the KCAC, I think things pretty much stay the same. Unless Ottawa loses to an opponent, it should pretty much stay the exact same. So there you go there. The only game I'm really looking at for Ottawa where I'm like, we'll see what happens, is maybe the Midland game. Maybe they also play that in Nebraska. Saturday game, by the way, so that'll be really exciting. But we'll see about that. They play Bethel and USM next, who, like I said, 13-14. They should definitely be able to take care of business here. But unless Ottawa loses, things should definitely stay the same in the KCAC and in our power rankings. So as far as, KCAC teams are concerned here, I don't think Kansas Wesleyan is going to lose at all. So there is that. But yeah, there you go. So your Week 8 power rankings once more, just to go over it. Milligan at 15, 14 Bethel, 13 St. Mary, 12 Cottey, 11 Campbellsville, 10 Reinhardt, 9 Florida Memorial, 8 Midland, 7 Kansas Wesleyan, 6 Weber. At 5 right now is Warner, 4 St. Thomas moving up, 3 Keiser, 2 Ottawa, and number 1 is Thomas. Oh, my bad. I also had one more thing to say. I almost forgot. Florida Memorial, once again, they weren't going to win that game against Keiser. At least I don't think so. But played them pretty close. Can't move them up because they keep losing. But I do want to say they probably are a little bit better than the 9th best team in the country right now. But this top 9, though, is pretty tough in general. So there's that. And I am going to be a little bit, I don't know, should I make this prediction? Yeah, why not? I'm going to make this prediction. If Florida Memorial makes the silver bracket, which I think they're probably going to make, if they make the gold bracket, they're going to have to upset a team in the national tournament for sure. And they're going to have either 2 or 3 pool play games. They got to win all of them. I would say they'd have to win all their pool play games, which definitely includes an upset against a Sun Conference team, so a top 6 team for them to make the gold bracket, and even then they might be a lower seed in that gold bracket. But when they make the silver bracket, I think they are definitely a team that could win it all. Straight up. Obviously you have Kansas Wesleyan, though. I think that would be the team to be in the silver bracket if they don't make the gold bracket, that is, because I could see them sneaking in and making it. But we'll just have to see. But I think this Florida Memorial team, don't be surprised if they go ahead and find themselves a winner of the silver bracket. So, yeah, there you go there. But those are your power rankings. And that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you so much for rocking with us. Hey, appreciate all the support. We do the best we can. We are all working now, including myself. I know I'm covering pretty much all of these games pretty much on my own. But at the moment, definitely am working a lot of afternoons/nights lately, so I'm not able to watch every game like I used to and whatnot. I try to watch replays and look at recaps and gather information so I could best at least recap those games so it's documented, and historically you can definitely listen back to it. So I do my best there, but just wanted to say really appreciate all the support so far. And if you want to continue to support the podcast, show us some love on social media. I guess that's the easiest thing there. Subscribe, whatever. Follow. I guess that's I should have led with that. Follow us at Playmakers Corner on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, at Playmakers Corner. We're on Facebook as well. You can find us there. Definitely posting updates from games and whatnot on social media. So if you want to keep up to date with some of those, go ahead and find us there. And then I would also say, on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go ahead and leave us a a good review. We really appreciate those. And and if you're listening to this on YouTube, subscribe. Really appreciate you YouTube listeners. I know there's a lot of y'all, which is great. Absolutely love it. And, hopefully we'll get a couple more visuals baked in here soon. But I've been your host, Simon Villanoz, and I'll catch you next week.